Hey viewers, today we will talk about a topic that affects us all, workplace toxicity. Join us as we dive into the AskWomen subreddit, where women share their experiences and reveal the signs if your workplace is toxic. Poitsesto op. In your experience, what is a dead giveaway that your workplace is toxic?
We are like a family here.
100% this. I worked as a vet assistant, which requires a lot of training and specialized skills, overnight at a specialty vet hospital, where the owner had his 2 sons as the managers. Minimum wage and no shift differential for working overnights, because the family couldn't afford to pay a decent wage.
This one is painfully accurate. My favorite from my last job, which was, in fairness, not as terrible as many. We're like a family here. And in 20 months, I went to lunch with people maybe a dozen times, despite the office building having a great restaurant on the main floor and being across the street from the biggest mall, odd food court in the city.
If your coworker gossips about other coworkers, they will gossip about you.
See, this isn't necessarily true, and I am not trying to have a hot take here. I would never gossip about my work bestie. I absolutely adore everything about her. But she and I gossip about the shitty, annoying people in our department.
IMO, there's a difference between petty gossip and airing grievances about toxic coworkers. I would never divulge private personal info about another coworker, but I will absolutely commiserate with my closest colleagues about how bad someone is at their job and how difficult they are to work with.
As a fairly rampant workplace gossiper, I'm sorry.
I accept your apology, but workplace gossip is one of the most toxic things you can do. Just get her shit done and go home. Work ain't the place for that. If you want to gossip, keep the gossip about her friends instead of spreading negativity in the workplace. And if we're gossiping for the sake of office politics, IDK, what to tell you?
We're starting off on hot takes here. We learned that the saying, "we are like a family here," doesn't necessarily ring true. As we delve deeper into the comments, we uncover more nuances about workplace toxicity and the fine line between harmless banter and toxic gossip. Let's continue.
High turnover.
I was going to say this. I once worked at a bakery where there was a high turnover of staff. Boss seemed lovely at first. Then work started and wow, that woman screamed and shouted at staff with as much respect as you might give to something foul you just stepped in. Working there made me ill. I did about 12 months and got out of there, so glad to see the back of her. Toxic to the core. Interviewers for jobs never know what to say when you ask, "So what is the turnover rate for this position?" And then follow up with, "Why is that?" They're quickly reminded that it is a two-way interview and that I am seeing if the company is a good fit for me as well.
Some places you can even tell from the outside. The higher quality their long-term hiring sign is, the higher their turnover is. Once I saw a Domino's with custom now hiring window decals. I'd bet money the manager sucks.
If there are a suspiciously low number of people who have been with the company for more than 2 years. Also, any kind of employee appreciation that isn't an annual event that legacy staff looks forward to.
I would also add, if the only people who have been around a long time are high up. The higher-ups tend to be insulated from the worst of the bad policies. Look at the turnover rates for the lower ranks.
Oh yes, it shows they have a culture not willing to change and that they drive out young employees, or that there will be no mobility. I've also found those higher-ups don't take any of the younger folks' ideas seriously because they think they know better, or we don't need to change how we've always done it.
At our office, we have an annual Christmas party that everyone looks forward to every year. We're a smallish office, about 20 people, and we go to a nice restaurant, get everyone a fancy meal, pay for drinks, wine, and Ubers if they need it. We let them invite their spouses if they like too.
People crying at their laptop. Yes, people was me.
The only friends and romantic partners the employees have are each other, not anyone else outside of work.
This is how my current job is. They're so enmeshed, it's ridiculous. If you don't participate in the enmeshment, you're ostracized. Super fun when you like having a life outside of your job and healthy workplace boundaries.
Oh, I dated someone from a previous job, so was guilty. But it was crazy how work and every work happy hour seemed to be used as a place to hit on others. Mostly the dudes, several of them married. Definitely a sign no one had time to date and meet people elsewhere. Funny that BF and I each left the company and he dumped me so he could date someone at his current workplace.
From high turnover to the absence of genuine appreciation, we see the kind of environments where stress, discontent, and unhealthy relationships thrive. It's a sobering reminder to pay attention to these red flags and prioritize one's well-being in the workplace.
When a bunch of staff are in cliques, and it feels more like high school than a professional work environment.
Can confirm. I work with 2 guys that are old enough to be my dad, but they're so immature. They're basically like mean girls, but men. Oddly enough, when one of them is ill or on holiday, the other one tends to be friendly and talk shit about the other guy. So two-faced.
This was my experience. My first office job started off as a blast because the team was so close. Over the years, I was given more and more to do without seeing a raise at the time of my new responsibilities. So I just received standard annual raises that my coworkers without my responsibilities were seeing. By the end, I was doing 4 jobs across 3 departments for abysmal compensation, so I quit. My boss, a woman who I thought was my friend, we'd hung out quite a bit outside of work. Won't be doing that again in the future. Lost her mind about how I was backstabbing, betraying the team and leaving. A month after I left, I got word that my team was at the company Christmas party, openly talking shit about me to the CEO, CFO, and international sales reps who'd flown in. So glad I left.
Work hard, play hard, hard pass.
When they're late to do your scheduled job interview?
Heavy on this. I went in on time. He didn't see me until 30 minutes later. I should have left, but was desperate. And while doing the interview, he kept looking at my breasts, then asked, "Do you have an older sister that I know?" Full-on creep mode.
My workplace is very toxic, but they're good at pretending. They blow a bunch of smoke up our asses for all the holidays and history months to make us feel like they care. So right now, it's apparently Women's History Month, and they have all these signs around about appreciating women and blah, blah, blah. But I think it's hilarious because I'm pregnant, and they don't offer anything substantial for expecting mothers.
Yikes! In a professional setting, rubbing elbows with the unprofessional crowd can feel like navigating a minefield of drama and incompetence. After all, who wants to spend their 9 to 5 dealing with colleagues who can't keep it together? It's a recipe for workplace disaster that even the most resilient professionals would struggle to stomach. Moving on to the next comments.
When you start dreading the weekend being over because you don't want to go to work on Monday, beyond just a general, I love my free time feeling.
We wear a lot of hats around here. Translation. You will be stuck with a lot of crap that is not in your job description, but nobody else wants to do.
The last person that worked here walked out and quit.
Being hired on the spot.
I once interviewed at this childcare center and the director barely interviewed me and couldn't remember my resume and didn't have a copy anywhere. And after like 10 minutes of talking and a quick tour, she just offered me to job out of the blue. And I was like, damn, bro, you really know nothing about me, but you're just gonna let me be these kids' teacher, huh? I turned the job down, and like 10 months later, the place closed. Dodged that bullet.
Husband-wife managerial team, run.
The manager is smiling too much while team members have poker faces.
Where even newcomers stop smiling after 3 days.
They won't do anything in writing. For example, during my interview, they mentioned it would be a fully remote position once onboarded 90 days on the job. I brought it up to my hiring manager once I passed the date, and they mentioned that they never said that, and it's not in writing, so they wouldn't honor it.
Leadership becoming defensive when new ideas are recommended.
Everyone is joking about the work environment being super tough and people developing various ailments from it, e.g. migraines or stomach issues. These are not jokes. These are warnings.
Back pain, shoulder pain, knee pain, all part of the package.
Ask them what their SOPs are. Also ask them what their org chart looks like. If they don't have that, they don't have it together.
I always ask about team building during the interview. Beers after work makes it toxic to me.
Multiple people have quit because of one person, but that person still works here.
Well, aren't these a crash course in workplace red flags? It's a stark reminder to job seekers to keep their eyes peeled and their instincts sharp when evaluating potential workplaces. Let's hear more of these comments.
If you ask the employees if they like working there and they can never give a straight-up answer, high amount of turnovers, managers always stressed out, a lot of drug abuse from stress, people that train you always annoyed and impatient due to training a lot, stories of people just walking out.
When the managers and other decision makers are bubbly and happy during meetings, while the rank-and-file drones are exhausted, quiet and disengaged.
OMG, one of the managers at my job is constantly laughing over everything. I'm just like, what the fuck is so funny? We're at work. And for those people who get on the Zoom Teams meetings first thing in the morning and go, "Good morning," like, can you calm the fuck down? Again, we're working. What is there to be so cheery about? Yes, I am a grumpy bitch.
Owner's daughter is head of HR.
Don't tell X what you're making because insert bullshit reason here.
Cult-like reverence required for the leaders or founders.
You dread every shift and come up with excuses to avoid work. Or you're angry while you're there and take a while to come down from it when you're off the shift.
Immediately seeing, being, excluded by a click from day one of a new job. Or being treated poorly by new colleagues in a new job. Any decent workplace should have a culture where the people you'll work with want and try to get to know you as a person, learning what you contribute to the team. Relatedly, managers who don't want to get involved in things that are workplace issues. It's their job to establish and enforce norms and boundaries.
On day one, they ask you to lie to customers and say you aren't new, just new to their project, because they don't want their customers to know and worry about the high turnover rate. I regret to this day not walking away from that job on that day. Never again.
If you ever get that funny feeling in your gut, it's there for a reason.
When the people who smoke cigs get 10 extra breaks, but if I'm caught checking the time, I'm told to put my phone away.
When the manager treats the new person like a prize and everyone else differently.
If your coworkers are weird about sharing their wage information, like I want to know, so we can make sure we're all being paid correctly and within reason.
When there's no real training, just ask someone if you're not sure, and then whoever you're asking tells you by rote, telling you, click this, then that, without demonstrating a proper understanding of why tasks should be done in a certain way. When they can't answer any questions about the process and aren't enabled to problem solve, it reflects micromanagement and lack of communication, and usually a disinterest in lower-level staff.
Women putting other women down. It may sound obvious, but it can be hard to catch at first. Making jabbing comments, making you feel bad for not working on days where you aren't scheduled, judging you, questioning you on why you do things the way you do them, trying to make you feel stupid. I know it sounds like nothing you can't just blow off, but it really makes the work time miserable.
When coworkers don't have an identity outside of work, you're expected to volunteer at every after-hour or weekend event. When they say, "This place is basically my house," when they're at work, they tell you they struggle when others don't show up like they do, because your full life prevents you from making said job your sole identity, and you notice they pass up a weekend out of town because they're territorial and want to do everything themselves.
As we wrap up this roller coaster ride through the wild world of workplace woes, it's clear that the professional landscape can be as treacherous as it is rewarding. So, armed with these insights, go forth and conquer your career path wisely. Stay sharp, stay empowered, and always remember, you deserve a workplace that's more uplifting than your morning coffee. Got some juicy workplace tales of your own? Don't be shy. Spill the tea in the comments below.